name is Harloveleen Kaur, and today is August 22nd, 2014. I was 5 years old. I was in Ajnala. It's like a little town in the same district as Amritsar. I was so little at the time, but I remember that it was because we used to go to Darbar Sahib every Sunday, and we weren't allowed to go in there because the damage was so much. And I remember one time we actually went around the area and we were sent back, and my dad was like really like let's just not go because he's sick, like he was turban, and and they were like, you could tell that they were targeting the Sikh population as well. So he said like let's just not go, nahi jana utthe. And so that I remember that part, that we used to miss that because Sunday was, being my father a businessman, Sunday was his off day, and that was like our family time. And yeah, so that I remember missing that part of going to their Barsa and just being there doing the Parkarma and just listening to Kirtan there. We missed that part. In November, I remember it was because we were going to school, and the news came, and we were very happy, like school is cancelled. But then I think there was this build up in the community itself that the like policies of Mrs. Gandhi wasn't like very inclusive. Actually, not inclusive at all. So that part of it was like, and when she died, I wouldn't say that we were happy, but there wasn't like even like sad feeling at all either. And I remember when the news came, and like it was just that, like it was almost that part of it that like you really did wrong to the community, and it was like it seemed like that okay, deserved thing kind of thing at that time. And then the violence that happened afterwards, didn't know much about that, not discussed much as well in the house. It was like and I think if I look back, the main thing that I feel bad about it is that there was so much silence around the issues. Like this, nobody wants to talk about it. At least in my circle, whichever I knew, that there was this. I remember seeing images of these so-called militants coming out of the Gurdwara because they were showing it on the TV and stuff. I remember that, and all the disrespectful things they did there and showed there, that how this place has become such a it's not a religious place anymore, it's not a spiritual place anymore, but it's just a very like it's a dirty place. It has apparently become a dirty place. So, and that I remember those images very, very clearly, very, very clearly. Fortunately, no. But my Mamaji, who used to live in Ludhiana, he was pretty strong about, he felt really strong about the kind of human rights aspect of it, and pretty outspoken in his ways. And so he was taken, he was in the prison. I don't know how many days, but I remember that there was again this topic that nobody wants to discuss. And I remember that he had because my mom told me a few days ago, I was just having this conversation with her over the Skype, and she said, हाँ मैनू याद हैगा मेरे वीरे नू बड़ियां सट्टां लगियां सी, उन्होंने मारिया सी बहुत, ते बहुत उदा swollen ਸੀਗਾ, sorry I forgot the Punjabi word, like ਸੁੱਜਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਕੁੱਟਿਆ ਸੀ. And same thing even after November, and then 8-10 years down the road as well. Even my father and my chachaji and my tayaji and my dadaji, they all spent a night in the prison. They would just find reasons to just put them in prisons. And that's how I see it. I might be wrong, I don't know. But this is how they were just like ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਸੀ, ਸਕੂਟਰ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਸੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰਾਸ ਲੈਗ ਬੈਠੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਬੈਠਣਾ ਸੀ, or something like that. They just would make reasons. And I remember my dadaji's and my dad's pagri came off. I remember that, and we were all like, our hearts were like thumping so hard. I remember that because I was maybe like 8-9 saal di udo. And I remember that part too. There was my dad did come back before the night, but my chachaji, he said, because my chachaji was really again, he would express his feelings and stuff. My father said, "Nahi, sorry ji, galti hogi," kind of thing, just let go, because it's not a good thing on record to have. You were spent a night in the prison because you were living in a village. But my chachaji did spend a night. And I remember my chachi crying because we used to live in a joint family. So I remember my chachi crying. She wouldn't eat, and there was like so much sadness in the house. And like, asi sikha aise karke idda ho raya. And I remember those conversations, like a bit of it, not like completely, because we weren't allowed to like listen to those conversations. And next day when my chachaji came out, he had again a big like aksuchi hui si ona di. He had a big like a bruise on his cheeks. Jinna ko na di daadi mucha to like visible siga, we could see. And I remember he had to get like a lot of treatment and stuff too on his shoulders. Yeah. As I was saying, is that silence, right? The funny part is that when I came here in Canada like 8 years ago, I started doing my PhD in law, and I was looking at international humanitarian, that was my area of expertise, and I wanted to do it in there. And I realized that I wanted to do something about related to women. And then I found out that there was the sexual violence that happened with Sikh women at the time. And like literally until that time, I didn't even know that that something like that even existed. I remember the time that there were tires, there were, all the violence that happened with Sikh men, whatever came out from media or newspaper or something like that, but I didn't know anything about women. So when I started researching a little bit more on that, I started talking to my mom and other people, and they're like, it's like over now, right? But yeah, si suni si khabar कि why didn't we talk about these things? Ki gal karni hai, like, izzat di gal, and then those bigger issues about izzat and honor, and that like men were supposed to protect their women, and women weren't protected. They couldn't protect them because they were being murdered, like brutally murdered and killed. So all those issues would come up. So they just had that silence around the issue. So not per se about 84, but whoever I've talked to, they just wanted to like almost like shush it. Yeah, my mom did talk about it, but it's still, I think now it's coming out, right? Because there's no media also. I don't know like how much truth is coming out, but there is this 84, like, people are talking like inne saalon ki justice nahi milya. So there is that openness I'm seeing, but I haven't talked to many other people about, haven't gone back. I was going to interview like 1984 survivors for my PhD. That hasn't happened yet because I'm taking a break from my PhD at the time. So would love to go back and see what's happening, what happened, and just hear their stories. And yeah. It has. It's that, like, I was there, right? And it's just that part of me, like, not knowing about things, that chup of everything, like, ede bari gal nahi karo, because it's related to this honor part of it. So ede bari gal nahi karo, and that really breaks my heart. To see our sisters went through something, our brothers, it didn't impact me directly, like if that's the question, but it is, I would feel the same thing for if it happened with other community too, but it does have an impact, a big impact. It's the silence of it, it's the unspoken part of it, it's that walking away part of it, not knowing part of it. So it has its, it does make me really sad, really, really sad. Like there are a lot of things that while I was researching that they came out, that it was becoming that it's that race is considered a warrior race, and they're becoming so scared of it, like the majority population there. But no minority is safe in India. Who is safe in India? Women are not safe. Girls are not safe. Like Muslims are not safe. Sikh are not safe. Christians are not safe. And even Hindus are not safe. I mean, like there are parts of, because there is this so-called democracy, and I always think it as it's such a facade. Like like I remember because I used to teach there, and I used to have this thing about like human rights, international law, and government is supposed to protect us. But then what happens when they become perpetrators? Like whatever they're supposed to. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I had a conversation with my daughter about 84, who is like almost 5 now. And so she's like, so I was telling her, and it was pretty emotional. And she's like, Mama, don't be sad. It's okay, right? So she's telling me. And she asked me these questions. And I'm like, she said, where was police, Mama? And it just like literally shook me from inside. I knew that part, that they were not protecting. They were actually being those perpetrators. They were the attackers at some point. But it was like listening from somebody, like we have this image of, state agencies to protect us, to be there for us. So what kind of democracy we are talking about? So I just hope that we learn something from this, at least something from this. Chuppi around any issues, silence around any issue, it doesn't do anything. And I just hope that Vaheguru keep every person who lost their lives at that time closer to Charan Kamal, and give all the survivors that peace and that survivorship, like that power of being a survivor. And they keep on going, and we keep on doing our share of the journey.